Good morning, students. We begin today with a fresh chapter from the geography subject, human resources. This is the final chapter of your portion. We will be finishing geography when I finish teaching this particular chapter. Now, human resources is all about us. Or literally, we are the center point of the chapter. It's we who is being discussed in this particular chapter, who are being discussed in the chapter. Now, why so much of importance to be given to ourselves? I'll take the example of a piece of wood or a log of wood lying in an abandoned area or in a forest. A log of wood is lying on the forest ground. Now look at that log of wood. If it lies there and nobody uses it, it's of no use. It will just rot over there and mix in with the soil. But when people like us go, we will be needing it for various purposes. We will be utilizing it to make it a resource. So like from wood we can make furniture. If you're very artistic, we can make furniture, we can make sculpture out of it, we can use it as firewood, we can use it as for cooking purposes, we can use it for construction purposes. Now this particular idea of using the log of wood in so many ways has come up from the mind of a human because he knows how to bring that particular resource into action to its making it useful to us, actually coining the term that it has utility for us. If we don't need it, there is no value. A piece of wood lying, a log of wood lying in the forest. If I tell you pay 10 rupees also you would not pay. If it's of no use, even if I tell you to give a rupee, you would say it is a sheer wastage of money for me because I don't need it at all. So human resources are those who with their intellects, with their intelligence and their creativity and the discretionary power as to what is to be done with this particular resource, how can it be used? That makes us the most important resources, our most important resource out of all the resources available in nature, that is human resources. Now human resources will vary in accordance to the education they get. They will vary with their age, they will vary with their gender. Naturally, when like it is a natural study that men can work more than women, though I don't agree with that. Men are more physically able to do work. So there comes the gender factor where the human resource can be more useful. Education. If you're not educated and if you're educated, there's a vast difference between the mentality of the two, making any normal thing which is around useful to us. A piece of stone lying, if you dug the ground and you found a piece of shiny stone, you and I, educated people, will consider it to be a diamond. But somebody who would not be that educated would consider it to be just a stone, a shiny stone, and just hurl it away might be, or play with it. But those who are educated know the value of that particular stone. Purest form of carbon. We know that it is the purest form of carbon and it's a diamond. So these factors, these characteristics make human resources the most dependable one, because human resources give something its value because we utilize them. We bring into action the utility of that particular thing which is available in the nature. Now let's discuss about distribution of population, distribution of human resources. Now Earth is 3/4 water and 1/4 land. So when you talk about the human inhabitation, the entire world population, the 90% of the world population lives only on 30% of the land available on the earth. 30% of the land available on the earth. That means that quarter which is available in land, out of that also we use only 30% to live. Why? Because I will be discussing that later. So for now you should understand that human resources are not equally distributed all throughout the world. Some places they are very dense, you find a dense population, and some places are sparsely populated, that means less population you will find over there. Now what happens is, this particular population, based on certain particular factors, in few places it will be concentrated, that means people living in that particular area will be more, and when compared to the other areas where there will be less. 3/4 of the entire population, 3/4 of the entire world population lives in Asia and Africa. That's why I said the distribution of population is not even, it's uneven. So only in these two continents you would find 3/4 of the world's population. In America also you would find, I would not consider only these two, a part of it I would give to America as well. Now 60% of the population, world population is in only 10 countries. Like the maximum population is in China, you know that, then comes India. The 60% of the world population is available, like is living only in 10 countries of the entire world. Now let's talk about the average density. That means number of people divided by the land covered by that particular country. This is how average density is calculated. Total population of that particular area divided by the area covered by that particular land of the country gives you the average density of the population. If we talk about the average density of the entire world, then it is 51 persons per kilometer square. Per square kilometer you will find 51 people if I talk about the entire world, wherein in India it is 382 people per square kilometer. As I said, Asian countries, Southeast Asia, Central Asia, Northeast Asia, these particular parts are very densely populated. And if you talk about globe, if I talk about globe, equator cuts the globe into two equal halves. Maximum population lives in the northern hemisphere. Maximum density of population you will find in the northern hemisphere. Southern hemisphere you will not find that much of population. This is how this particular resource is unevenly distributed, and on the basis of education and the gender and the age also, age factor also, there's an uneven distribution of human resource. Certain people may be very rich in human resource because of the density of the population and the majority of them working over there, and certain areas may not have that good a human resource. Now, on what factors does the distribution of population take place, or I would say what factors lead to the dense population or the sparse population? Let's see first geographical factors. You've been learning about this since ages. It's just a recap of what we had learned earlier. Where do you find humans living? Which areas? The firstly comes the topography of the land. Topography of the land means what kind of features do you find in that particular area. Do you find mountains? Do you find plains? Do you find plateaus? Do you find deserts? So what kind of land structure do you find over there? If it is mountains, you will not find many people living over there because mountains are very difficult. It's a very difficult life to live on a mountain. So mountainous areas you will not find, but valleys you will find most of the population over there. Plains you will find because plains are water fed. The rivers bring along with them fertile soil, and water also is available, and the plain flat land is available for any form of construction. So plains, maximum people you will find people living over there. Even plateaus you will find people living because of the availability of resources over there. Water is available, minerals are available, flat land is available. So you will find people living in plateaus also. Deserts again will be sparsely populated because of the high temperatures and the non-availability of water where you cannot grow anything. So the topography, the shape of a land, the contours of a land, the availability of natural like upliftments in the entire land also play a major role in the people, whether the people will live there or not live there. Climate. If like let's take Jabalpur's example. Jabalpur has a moderate climate. We don't have too harsh summer or too harsh winters. We can survive both easily. So, but if I talk about Leh Ladakh, it would be, it's right now -50 over there. So if I tell you to go and live in -50, would you live? No, definitely not. The climate of a place plays a very major role in the distribution of human population. If that climate is too tough for us to, for our body to get adapted to it, we wouldn't definitely live over there. If I tell you go and build a home in Antarctica, you will say no ma'am, I wouldn't go. Except for some few research stations over there in Antarctica, there is nothing. Though you have land, but you would not go and live over there because of the climate. Next comes soil. Is the soil viable? Like, is the soil good enough to grow crops? Because food is an essential item for the humans to live. If you can't grow food, then definitely it's going to make your life difficult. That's why mountains and deserts are not preferred by people, because the soil over there is not good enough or is not apt for growing crops. Water, availability of water is 100% a compulsion. The most arid regions, nobody would like to go and live over there because of the harsh climatic conditions and no non-availability of water. Water is very, very essential for humans. They cannot give up on that particular factor. So wherever water is abundant, water supply is in abundance, they would go and you will find dense distribution of population over there. Minerals, the extraction of minerals from the soil, especially in plateau regions. There you will find maximum density of the population because you will find opportunities of economic growth over there. You can earn money by extracting the minerals and bringing it into bringing those particular minerals into utility form, changing their raw form into utility form and utilizing them. So economic factors come over here again. Everything is interconnected. So wherever extraction of minerals is involved, labor is involved, money is involved, and if you have money, definitely you can live a good life. So there you find distribution of population dense. Let's see social factors. Now we finished with the geographical, now let's go with the social factors. Social factors is the quality of life. Quality of life means, is there better health facilities, education facilities, is the area secure and safe for my family? All these parameters add. See, when you have to buy a house also, you think about so many things. What is the distance from the school, of the area where we want to build a house? How safe is it? Are there dacoities? Are there robberies happening over there? No. So many things you think about. Are the people living beside educated, literate? Are they open-minded? Will their mentalities match with us? Everything needs to be taken care of. So social includes every parameter what would make our life more comfortable, education, health, roads also you would take up. That comes under infrastructure, but definitely you will see the place, the value of the I would say social status of that particular place, whether it is viable enough for you to go and dwell over there. Next comes cultural. This is very interesting. Now, if you are a very pious human being, very godly person, definitely you would love to be at a place, love to live in a place where you will find many temples. Let's take India's example. Many temples. Varanasi is the best example. Ganga ke ghat hai, bas aap baaju mein raho, and then you keep chanting mantras, you keep singing hymns and all stuff, and keep visiting temples every day. If that's the kind of a life you would want, then you will definitely go to that particular place because it's got cultural importance. Vatican City, the Pope lives over there. Definitely Jerusalem, there's so many places where even the Christians would go and love to settle up. These places have got a lot of cultural importance because it's connected to religion also somewhere. Somewhere down there it's connected to religion also, where it suits the requirement of a human being, spirituality, definitely you want to go to cultural places to live. Economic factors, like if I talk about, if you want to earn money in India, which are the places would you like to go to? So there's like metropolitan cities, definitely yes. Hyderabad, you've got Delhi, you've got Mumbai, you've got Pune. These cities are good enough to go and earn a living. So if you are in a small city, the money you earn would be limited. But if you want to explore your business opportunities, you would like to go and dwell in a city, in a place where there are opportunities of economic growth. So these are the factors on which the distribution of population relies, and the human resource definitely would take into consideration all of these before deciding where to dwell. And this human resource is so important that we even have a ministry for the development of human resource. We have a ministry, we have a separate ministry, Ministry of Human Resource Development, where they take care of how the people can be brought to use, how can we utilize their intellect. We have Ministry of Human Resource Development, and because of us only, the things which are available in nature get its utility and have a value. So that is why we are so important. So the rest of the chapter I will be teaching in the next lecture. Thank you.